Hello everyone and welcome back to the Sparkling Autos YouTube channel. Nothing too serious today, just a quick cleanup and protection on this lovely little Mercedes A-Class. The car looks in a pretty sorry state, but it's not one of these neglected disaster details. Basically the owners have a bit of building work going on at the minute, and as a result of that it's been a few weeks since the car was washed. It's nothing more sinister than that. So me, being the good friend that I am, I've decided to give the car a good cleanup and might as well make a video out of it. The more eagle-eyed viewers among you may well notice or recognise this car from the recent Guardz Therapy development test video. Yes, this is the car that I used when applying the Guardz Therapy snow foam by the Karcher K2. So with that being said, we're not going to spend too long on the pre-wash stage. We'll quickly scan over it because obviously you've already seen it before. And if you haven't, I will leave a link below because that's definitely one you won't want to miss. But enough about that one, let's get on with this one. Now, as I said in the introduction there, we're not going to spend too long looking at the snow foam. I've already covered in another video, it's the Guardz Therapy development foam, and this was it being applied with the Karcher K2. First of all onto the grubby wheel that has just had a tyre change, and then over the rest of the vehicle. There's no point me talking you through this again. This is just to very quickly remove most of the dirt from the car before we get on with the wash stage, and we will skip forward to that in a couple of minutes. There we are then, so that is the overwhelming majority of the dirt removed from the car, which is exactly what your pre-wash stage should be. I know everybody's methods and techniques are different, but for me personally, half of my time in a maintenance wash is actually spent at the pre-wash stage, removing as much dirt as I can before I make any contact with the car whatsoever. So on now to the wheel cleaning, and for this we're using GB Detailing Orbit. An Orbit is a traditional spray on, agitate and rinse off wheel cleaner, and if the wheels aren't even that bad, a simple spray on and rinse off is generally enough. Orbit however has a special little trick up its sleeve that not a lot of people know about, and I discovered one day, and I'm going to show you what it is now. So if you get a bucket of clean water and pour 15 to 20 ml into the bucket. I don't need to measure it out correctly, just a gulp or a smidgen, a spludge, whatever you want to put in. And then, just as if you're making up a bucket of wheel shampoo, and remember to turn on your pressure washer, just agitate it and fill the bucket up, and as you can see here, it produces a phenomenal amount of foam. You may wonder why that's important or necessary, but really, it's just to give your brushes and whatever you're using to clean your wheel just that extra bit of lubrication when it comes to the contact stage, which is exactly what we're going to get on with now. So bearing in mind that the car has already been extensively pre-washed, which took a lot of the dirt off, we're going to rinse off the Orbit that we did spray on initially, just to see how much that is now taken off too. And as you can see, the wheel's in pretty good shape, you can almost get away with that, but we want to give the barrel a good clean out and just remove all the remaining brake dust and anything on the surface of the wheel. And this is where your bucket of suds really comes into play. You can see the foam that's being produced, it makes it a nicer process. It may just be a placebo effect, but it feels like you're cleaning the wheel better. But in reality, it's giving you that visual indicator of where you've been and what parts you've still to do. And as you can also see here, it's also a good idea to rinse your brushes out in between each stage before you put them back into your bucket. Otherwise you're just putting the dirty water back in. Now you can do this with the pressure hose, or you can have another bucket of clean water. It's just something I would recommend you do. So what about Orbit itself then? This is a product that was reviewed a few months ago by Martin from OCD, Obsessive Car Detailer. And first of all, if you don't already subscribe to Martin's channel, I'm going to leave a link below because you really should. Martin is a self-described grumpy old git, but in reality, what Martin is one of the most honest reviewers you'll find on YouTube. Now, Martin did have one major issue with this product, and that was the triggers. This was an issue that Gavin from GB Detailing was aware of, and something he has been trying to address. But basically Gavin has been having supply issues with these bottles since the start of COVID, and you kind of had a choice of either release it with these triggers or don't release it at all. However, if you buy it in the 1 litre bottles, it actually comes with a much better, much more efficient trigger anyway. But enough about triggers for now. What about the actual cleaning power of this product? And as you can see here, this wheel looks pretty much like new. So the cleaning power is there. There's absolutely no issues with that whatsoever. So all that's left to do now is to give your brake discs and your bare metal parts in there just a quick spray with a product like Built Hamber's Atom Vac. This basically just stops any oxidization forming on the discs. So if your car isn't going to be moving for maybe a few hours, this will prevent any brake issues. The shampoo we're using in is GB Detail and Purity, which is a pH neutral pure shampoo and has a recommended dilution ratio of 1200 to 1. So if you're using a 20 to 25 litre bucket, you need somewhere between 16 and 20 mils of this product. Now I do find that coming out of the bottle it's extremely thick, so I actually made that amount up in a small jug with hot water just to thin it out before putting it in the bucket, as you may have noticed. I've said before that I rarely get overly excited by shampoos. A shampoo to me is just a product you use to get that last 5% of dirt off the car that you haven't been able to remove in the pre-wash stage. But that being said, I want to talk about a few things that I think stand out about this particular shampoo. And the first of those things I want to mention is the suds. Now, it produces a good amount of suds, but more importantly it's the feel of those suds. The feel of the suds, I hear you ask? What are you talking about, man? Basically what I mean by that is the suds feel almost like silky or velvety. It's just a really nice shampoo to work with. It's one of those products that makes you just want to take your time, panel by panel as you're washing the car. You're in no rush to get the job done, you just want to enjoy the process, and that's exactly what this feels like. That being said though, one thing you'll notice from these pictures is one luxury I didn't have on this particular day was to take my time washing the car. It was approaching about 25 degrees at this stage, so I had to wash the car one panel at a time, and ensure that I kept rinsing it off and try to keep the panels as cool as possible. Now, at no point during any of that did the Purity shampoo show any signs of drying out, nor was it in any way difficult to rinse off. In actual fact, it was incredibly easy to rinse off. And as you'll see in a few seconds, as you would expect with any pH neutral pure shampoo, it had no impact on whatever protection was on the car. Now I don't know what protection was on this car, I don't really know the history of it. It was only purchased a few months ago, but whatever is on there was still on there by the time I'd washed it off, as you can see here. No problems whatsoever. Your regulars to the channel should know what to expect here when you see me washing the door with my microfiber wash pad, and this video is not going to be any different. Here comes the one-handed pad flip. I swear one day I'm going to drop that, but if that day ever does arrive, I promise I'll put it in the video. And you can see there on the door exactly what I mean about those suds. Nice, thick, creamy. Just a pleasure to work with. Really nice shampoo. But anyway, you've probably heard enough of my voice rambling on for a while, so I'll take a break from talking. We'll get the rest of this car washed and we will proceed with the next stage. Just one thing that I would like to reiterate, reinforce, highlight, whatever you want to call it, is when you're washing the car in these sort of temperatures, keep the panels as cool as possible. If that means spraying them every 30 seconds if you have to, then do it. Because if detailing products start to dry onto a car in that sort of heat, you're going to end up with more problems than you would have had you just left the car unwashed. So you can see now the car's spotlessly clean, the shampoo has done its job in removing the last of whatever was on the car. Now we just need to get on with the drying stage. So I'll not spend too long talking about drying the car. It's not the most exciting process in the world. But one thing you will notice is the first thing I did before I dried it was to go over and soak it again. And just as I mentioned earlier, this is just to get the car as cool as possible before drying it off. Want to get the water dried off before any water spots appear. So now the car is soaked, nice and cool, we'll just go around very quickly and soak it all up with a towel. Glass first as usual to dampen the cloth, and that'll help it absorb the water over the rest of the car. So for the tire dressing, we're on the GB Detail and Flex, and again we're on these triggers, so this is the point where I want to actually mention something. As much as people do criticise these small triggers, and in terms of ergonomics, yes, they can be a bit of a pain in the backside, and a pain in the finger to be perfectly honest. But it should also be noted that each pull of the trigger actually only outputs 0.275 mil of product, which is roughly a fifth of what your normal trigger will put out, which for certain jobs, for example dressing tires, can actually work to your benefit because you're not wasting a lot of product that you don't need to waste. Sometimes tire dressings can tend to be over applied. Now am I saying these triggers are better than your standard ones? No, of course not, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that sometimes you have to make lemonade out of lemons. And what about Flex itself? Well, it's a silicone free satin dressing, which means it leaves a non-sticky and non-gloss finish to your tire. Now tire finishes are subjective, some people like a high gloss finish, others like myself prefer that kind of satin, clean, dry look. But there's no right or wrong, it's just personal preference. So after a few minutes, we just go around and buff off the excess and remove any overrun from the wheels. So for the finishing product in this one, I went with Silk from GB Detailing. And my reason for that is because this car clearly has some sort of protection on it that we don't have time to remove and start polishing today. We just want to give the car a quick once over. There's no point going with some ultra durable wax or sealant because really you're just applying it on top of something else. You want to get a clean surface before you apply stuff like that. So we just went with a hybrid QD. Something that's quick and easy to apply and it's going to hopefully give us that nice finish. So this is the first time I've actually used this product, so let's see how we get on with it. Now obviously the most important thing to note here, as with any finishing product, is to get the car into the shade before applying it and make sure the panels are cool to touch. Initial impressions of Silk then, really nice product to use. It practically flashes away on the initial application, and I'm really just going over it here with a buffing cloth, more just out of force of habit, but just because it feels nice as well. It does leave a nice silky slick finish, funny enough, and it definitely does feel nice to the touch. Another thing worth noting about it is the smell. It's just a really pleasant aroma. It smells almost like some form of aftershave. Now I'm not suggesting you put this on before you go to your local grab a granny for the night out. I'm just saying I've smelled people wearing worse. Obviously I'm not going to show you the whole car being done, I don't want to bore you to death completely. I just want to reiterate just how easy this product is to use. As much as I do enjoy applying a good wax or a good quality durable sealant, sometimes it's nice to just lift a bottle of a QD of some sort or a hybrid detailer and just go over the car, and you can do the whole car in less than 5 minutes. Sometimes that's all you need, sometimes that's all you have time for. And this is definitely going to be one of those products that I keep on a shelf for handiness for jobs like this in the future. So the final stage then to finish the car off is the glass, and for me at the minute there's only one glass product I'm remotely interested in using, and that's Garage Therapy One Glass. Now I am going to do a separate video on this product shortly, but don't worry, it won't be too long. There's only so much time you can spend talking about any single product really. But as you can see here, the results speak for themselves. So let's get it finished off and get the car out and get a few final shots. There we are then, a quick maintenance wash, a few minutes with finishing products, and you know you've done the job right when the owner collects the car and says it looks brand new again. What more can you say than that? So that's us finished with this one. Don't forget to like the video and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. But as always, thank you very much for watching, take care and I'll see you next time.